and internationally.
And then there's the whole issue of Iran's nuclear program.
Oh, yeah. Can't forget about that.
That's like the elephant in the room.
It fuels so much suspicion, so many sanctions.
I mean, the excerpts mention a fatwa he issued against nuclear weapons, saying they're forbidden under Islam.
Right, right. But you know what they say? Actions speak louder than words.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, is he really against them?
I mean, the West doesn't seem to think so.
They think Iran's still trying to develop a nuclear weapons capability.
A lot of people do. They think it's all happening under the guise of this civilian program.
It's like this constant game of cat and mouse.
Yeah, a standoff, crippling sanctions on one side, fear of escalation on the other.
It's a really tense situation.
It is. And, you know, this fear, this distrust, it's not just coming from foreign powers.
You mean within Iran itself?
Exactly. Remember all those crackdowns on journalists, activists we talked about?
Oh, yeah.
It's not a pretty picture.
It's like this dark undercurrent to his rule.
Human rights groups have documented tons of cases of censorship, imprisonment, even torture.
It's a stark contrast to the image he tries to project.
Yeah.
You know, the spiritual leader guiding Iran towards a brighter future.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, like, does he believe his own rhetoric? Or is it all just, you know, calculated, a way to hold on to power?
It's the million-dollar question, right?
It really is. It's baffled analysts for decades. He's definitely a shrewd politician, no doubt.
But also deeply ideological.
Oh, yeah. Shaped by revolution, religion, and this deep sense of grievance against the West.
A potent mix.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
And it leads to this huge question. What happens when he's gone?
What happens to Iran?
Exactly. He's in his 80s, health is declining, and the rumors about who's next, they're swirling.
It's got to be a pretty tense time behind the scenes.
I bet. I mean, the excerpts don't really give us any concrete answers, but there's a lot of talk about his son, Mojtaba.
Mojtaba.
Yeah. He's got a powerful position in the Revolutionary Guards, and he's been more and more visible politically.
A potential dynasty?
Maybe. But Iranian politics, they're tricky.
Hard to predict.
Totally. There are other power players, too. Clerics, military leaders, folks in the Revolutionary Guards. It's going to be a scramble for power, I think.
A power vacuum.
Yeah. And then there's the Iranian people, right?
Right. Where do they fit into all this?
They've been under his rule for, like, over 3 decades now. They've seen the economic struggles, the restrictions, the crackdowns. What do they want?
Do they want change?
Are they afraid of it? Tough questions. Only time will tell, I guess.
That's true. I guess we'll have to wait and see.
But one thing's for sure, Khamenei's legacy, it's going to be felt for a long time.
He's left a big mark.
On Iran, on the region, on the world. No doubt about it. Whether you see it as a positive or negative mark, that's another question.
You know, it's amazing how one person can have so much influence over an entire country.
Especially in a system like Iran's, where religion and politics are basically, like, inseparable.
Right. It's really unique.
Totally. And that's what makes Khamenei so powerful, you know? He's not just a political leader.
He's a religious authority, too.
Exactly. He's seen as, like, the ultimate interpreter of Islamic law.
For millions of people.
Millions. His word, his fatwas, they carry so much weight. You know, it's not just about politics.
Right. It shapes daily life.
Everything. Culture, the arts, you name it.
And speaking of the arts, I thought it was interesting how the excerpts mentioned his personal interest in literature, poetry, things like that.
Yeah, a bit unexpected considering, you know, how much his regime censors artistic expression.
Right. It's like, wait a minute.
It's another one of those contradictions.
Yeah, those contradictions that make him so fascinating.
Totally. On the one hand, he's imprisoning artists, banning books.
Right, if they don't fit his worldview.
But then he's also, like, an avid reader himself, even a poet.
Writing under a pseudonym.
Yeah, it's wild. So how do you explain that?
Well, it seems a bit hypocritical, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, he can enjoy art, but no one else can.
I don't know if I call it hypocrisy exactly. I think it's more about this deep belief he has that art has to serve a purpose.
Okay, interesting.
And for him, that purpose is, well, upholding the Islamic Revolution, its values, that whole thing.
So any art that challenges that questions things, it's a threat.
Exactly. He sees art as a tool, you know?
To shape how people think.
Absolutely. To reinforce his vision for Iran. And this control, it goes beyond just art.
Oh, yeah.
He's been known to, like, meddle with language itself.
Language? What do you mean?
Like, pushing for changes to Persian words, even wanting to replace some with Arabic ones.
Whoa, really?
It's all part of this project of his, right? Purifying Iranian culture.
Aligning it with his interpretation of Islam.
Exactly. It's like he's trying to create a society in his image, you know?
Wow, that's a powerful thought. And this brings us back to that big question looming over everything.
Succession.
What happens when he's gone? This system he built, this vision, what happens to it?
$1 million question, the one everyone's trying to figure out.
And the excerpts don't offer any easy answers, do they?
Nope. But there's a lot of talk about his son, Mojtaba.
Oh, right, him.
Yeah, he's got a lot of power within the Revolutionary Guards, and he's been making more and more public appearances.
So, a dynasty in the making.
Possibly. But Iranian politics are so unpredictable, you know?
Always some twist or turn.
There are other contenders too, you know? Clerics, military leaders, people in the Revolutionary Guards. It could get messy.
A real power struggle.
Oh, yeah. And then there's the Iranian people themselves, right?
The ones who've actually lived under his rule for all these years.
Exactly. They've experienced the hardships, the restrictions. Do they want change? Are they scared of it? We don't know.
So many unknowns.
But one thing's for sure, Khamenei's influence, it's going to be felt for a long, long time.
He's left his mark on the world.
Without a doubt. And whether you see it as a positive or negative one, well, that's a whole other conversation.
Well said. Well, it looks like we've reached the end of our deep dive into Ali Khamenei.
And what a dive it's been.
A truly fascinating, complex figure, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Full of contradictions.
But definitely someone who's shaped Iran and the world in profound ways.
He's made us think, that's for sure.
He has. And that's what we hope to do with these deep dives, to make you think critically about the world around us, about the people who shape it.
To question things, to explore different perspectives.